Well, hello friends, and welcome back to the cabin. Saddle up. That's the new term that so many people liked, and from the recent comments anyway, from around the world. But we got a whole lot going on in East Tennessee. We've got severe winter weather storms. We've got Jennifer's house that we're working on down there, and we've also got some wiring left in the cabin that we need to do. So let's get started. Hi-ho, hi-ho, it's off to work we go. I tell you what, friends, we had a real scare the other night. We had a squall of thunderstorms that came through with 2 tornado warnings that were going to be crossing paths. It was about 100 miles long, looked like maybe about, I don't know, 25, 50 miles wide, and it was coming at us long ways. I actually left here with the dogs and a flashlight, jumped in the vehicle, went up to my sister's house, and got in the root cellar and stayed for about an hour and a half. And just about 5 miles from us, Jennifer sent me pictures of hail that was laying on the ground that looked like snow. And they were golf ball size when the lady actually picked one up. And that wasn't too far away from us. So the storm actually came through. We didn't even hardly have any wind here, so I think that we were kind of in the eye of it by the time that, you know, I got information. And I didn't have time to do anything other than get my dogs and myself in the vehicle because it was at night and I couldn't see anything, couldn't tell if a tornado was developing, because I used to live in the Texas Panhandle, which is otherwise known as Tornado Alley, right? That in Oklahoma and so forth, Kansas area. I know what they look like, and I've seen plenty of them, so it's becoming more and more frequent here. And I thought, you know, I just can't go on living like this, because I did it last year, we did it this year. The wind has been just crazy, weather patterns have been changing, so I think my priorities are going to change. And alongside of building or putting the siding on the workshop and finishing that up, I wanted to start on a back deck, but I think I'm going to go ahead and start on building a root cellar / storm shelter, especially since Jennifer's moving up here now, because I can't live like that. I can't worry about, you know, where am I going to go. So I think that I'm going to be starting on that. And I'm down here now because, let me show you. That right there is how much dirt we have lost. So what's been happening is it runs down the ditch in the driveway, and if there's any kind of debris in the ditch, it crosses and it runs right through here. It runs right down through here. And then it runs off right there. We want it to run off on this side right here. Therefore, I'm going to have to start up there by those leaves. I'm going to have to hand dig it down through here and expose this ditch so that we can get rid of the water. Because if we don't, it will undermine the bridge to the point where we won't be able to cross it. And as wet and nasty as things are now, I don't even know if I could find dirt to pack in there that would work to help us to cross the bridge. So I'm fixing to clean it out so that it doesn't destroy what we've already got, or what is left. So like I said, I've got to start up here, work my way down, because as you can see, this one's filling up right here by this tree. The tree actually helps to catch this stuff. I wish it was gone, but there's nothing I can do about it now except cut it off there, but that wouldn't remove it. So I'm going to have to kind of hand dig around that and expose that ditch all the way down. We are expecting 4 major weather patterns, one right behind the other one. This next one that's coming, they say that it will bring somewhere between 4 to 8 inches of rain, probably around midweek. But my concern is for the people over there in North Carolina with what they just went through, and now this could be possibly more water than what they experienced several months ago. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get busy. I'll film a little bit of this, but I've got to get this thing cleaned out before I can do anything else. Thought I'd take a little bit of a break because I'm starting to sweat underneath here. I know that a lot of people think, you know, well, hey, you got a tractor and a blade, just get down there and use that to clean it out instead of hand digging. Well, I'll tell you, everything can't be done with machinery. Some things have to be done by hand. One thing that's different about this tractor than our other one is the cab. And even though the blade is 7 feet long, when you angle it so that you can tip it and be able to pull stuff out so that it, you know, the way that the blade works, you angle it like this and it runs along and it pulls it out. The tractor would be tipped sideways and the cab would be in the trees. So I can't do that. It's a 7-foot blade. I would need to weld a good size extension on, and I don't have a welder. And no, my neighbor, he's not really able to help me anymore because he's got a lot going on. So you just basically have to do it by hand. But I'll tell you what, it's good exercise, and I need it to stay fit, you know, and for longevity of life. So yeah, I don't mind doing it. I'm almost finished, and I think what I'm going to do is get the leaf blower down here and see, because it will still blow wet leaves, see how many leaves I can get out. Because one thing I don't want to do is dig it out and then the leaves cover it back up. Then the next thing you know, you got sediment building on top of that and it runs right back out. So you've got to get it down deep, because I did this like a year ago and it just now filled up, right? You can't have a little short ditch because you're going to constantly be down there redoing it like every couple months. So I'd rather spend a couple hours, get it done where I won't have to touch it pretty much for another year. So anyway, my break's over and I'll get back at it. Well, that's what the creek looks like right now after some rain last night. But like I said, we're getting ready to get a whole lot more. So I'll kind of show you what, this only took about an hour actually, but let me show you what I did. I didn't bring the chainsaw down here. I could go back and get it, but I think that will be good enough for the time being. But I've got it down about 8 to 10 inches. This portion right here didn't actually need any. And then right there around that tree, I'm back down around 8 inches. So when that rain starts dumping on us, it should flow okay. But my concern is one system right after another. And like I said, we're expecting 4 of them. So I'm going to have to pay attention and make sure that that ditch stays clean. Otherwise, it could undermine the bridge that we've got, which is basically an old gas tank that had the ends cut out of it, but they're steel. That's, you know, back in the what was it, 80s and 90s, they started taking those out of the gas stations and putting plastic ones in. We grabbed one, or my neighbor did, but it's the same way that I did my other cabin, and he actually got that idea from me many years ago after I had moved away. So since I'm back, we're going to take care of this one, because I don't think that you'll be able to get any more of those.
Is she gonna have wood in here on the ceilings, or is she hanging it?
I can text her and find out for you.
Okay. I just don't want to put too much ceiling board in here if it comes
Gotcha.
out the garage.
I will do that right now.
All right, thank you, sir.
I'll tell you what, friends, that was a really nice operator right there. He apologized for putting ruts in the road, but I told him, I said, it's rained so much that don't worry about it. Anyway, they're placing all of that inside the house. They're not just dumping it outside, so I think that that's great. And he's trying to be very careful not to hit anything. But I had no idea that that thing operated like that, because I've kind of been out of the construction business for a while.
Hey y'all, let's get to work. We are writing Bible verses. So this is Romans 8:28. God works for the good of those who love him. What are you doing, Dad?
We're fixing this where you can have a floor.
Hey, Steven. What we doing?
Let me make sure that I've got it in the right place. Nope, let's go that way some. Okay, let me have your hammer. Got that. Now I need another little short piece about 8 inches long.
You know, got Isaiah 40:31 up here. What you need?
You know, a lot of times we get comments and I have to scratch my head and think like, okay, what are they trying to say? But I think one of the recent comments had to do with this. They were suggesting that I needed to put something over this so that critters and things like that couldn't get in there. Well, the day I was working on it, I don't know if people could tell it, but there's screen there, all right? So nothing's going to be able to get in there. The other thing was people were wanting what you would actually call a drip loop instead of it being packed in here. But you see, that creates a problem because the dogs are always snooping into everything, and I don't want them to get hung up in this because this is very fragile right here. You don't want to be pulling on that too much because it could crack. Even though I got the valve turned off, I don't want it to crack. So until I can get some sort of support built under here to actually hold that and get this, I need a couple more U-clamps to put right in here so that raises this up off from being so low. But one thing that I can do, I can lean a board or something across this because I don't think there's going to be very much wind associated with these storms that are coming through. That will keep the water from running in there. But yeah, I mean, this was my intention. I just don't have those U-clamps, like I said, to put on there. So I'm going to have to do something differently. And then the other thing that I need to do is I need to get another piece of chain, run in here and strap this in where it won't turn over. Although it's full and be hard to turn over for the dogs, but it could happen. So I need to go ahead and fire up the generator. I've been trying to do it like every 2 days. And another comment that we had was that I needed to add stabilizer to the engine in there on the generator. But since I'm running off propane, I don't want any liquid fuel sitting inside that's going to run through the carburetor. That's the reason I'm going to run this strictly off of propane. Even though it's a dual system, I am going to drain the gasoline out of the generator and it will run strictly on propane. But like I've told you before, we may never have to use it, which is great. But it will be here in the event that we need it. Well, it is time to do our 2-day startup. We'll see if it'll crank. Hopefully it will. The other good thing about this is right here is where you drain the oil. So all I've got to do is kind of slide it over the edge and I can drain it right here, and I can also refill it. Now the other thing that somebody commented that I needed an air intake. The air intake is the door being open. Okay, so I don't feel like I'm going to need any sort of an air intake. I'm going to be able to prop this door open. I need to fix the latch where it won't just swing backwards and forwards. But I thought when I was installing this, I thought, you know, whenever I run this generator, I'm just going to open this up and let it run like that. And when it's done, I'll just shut the door. So that keeps me from having to cut any more holes in here. And these generators, honestly, they're not really that loud. So what I could do is late in the evening, if I needed to charge up any more from whatever I didn't get from the sun, I would just come out here, crank it, leave the door open, let it run for an hour or so, because this thing will put in around somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 to 4,000 watts in an hour. So that's good. Everything appears to be running right, and hopefully we'll never have to use this, like I say, but it will be here if we need it. I'm going to cut a link of chain and put that on this right here, and that will help keep it from going anywhere. It ain't going to pull out too easy. There we go. Well, I think that'll hold it. I'll tell you one thing I'm going to have to do though, is I'm going to have to go in and take this off and change my shirt, and probably some of the underclothes, because digging down there I'm soaking wet and I'm just about to freeze now, so at least I've got that taken care of. Well, I did get my shirt changed and I ate some lunch, and it's a little bit later in the afternoon, but I thought I would go down here. I know that they were working on Jennifer's drywall, so we'll go check it out and see what they did. Well, it appears like they're making some tracks. She's actually using 1/2 inch sheetrock. They got part of this room done right here. They've got part of her bedroom right here. I know it's dark, but there's nothing that I can do about that. Well, they're moving right along with it. So Jennifer was kind of wanting to insulate even the inside walls, and I've done that before. It kind of helps to soundproof the house, but I don't know if she's going to be able to get the material. She was wanting me to do it, but I don't know if she's going to be able to get the material in time for me to get down there before they actually cover both sides of the wall. So I'm going to go up here. I took some pictures. I'm going to send them to her and ask her if that's what she really wants to do, and I don't know. We're going to have to make a decision. Well, you might be wondering why I was using a putty knife to put this drywall compound on, is because I have misplaced my 6-inch trowel and I needed something small to get in here. But regardless of what size it is, you kind of got to have a steady hand. If you practice it a little bit, you just kind of float it across. But you see how wide I've made this seam. First of all, it was so wide, right? Then it's this wide. When I put my third coat on, it'll be about this wide. That way it gets feathered from way down here across the seam and back up into here. That way you can't really see any of the seams that's in the drywall. But that is the second coat on there, and as soon as I sand that off, when it gets dry, I'll sand it off, put the third coat on, and then we will not only be ready to paint, but I'll be ready to put this back on. Well, I got to put the little shelf in there first so that I can put that lightning arrestor in there, but we're almost ready to do that, and then we'll put the trim in here, and then we'll be good to go after I get the baseboard on, and then I can start setting up this corner. And I'm also going to install the little propane hot water heater. I'm going to put a couple of extra screws in here. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to reach this, but I think I can do it this. Pop that off, but I'm not going. I'm not going to take it off. I think I can do it just like this. on the money. I think that'll be good right there. I'm using some really small washers left over from the grounding of the solar panel. Put those on there. That will help even hold it up here even better. Get those things started in there where I can actually get these going straight. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Alright, that ain't gonna go anywhere. This little door right here opens up. I guess, like I said, we'll read the temperature right here, and then there's 3 modes of setting in there. It's already set on number 2, which I don't know what that means, but I'll find out. Well, I'll tell you what, friends, it has rained for about 48 hours. Pretty hard. Thought I would walk down here and see what the condition of the creek was and check out the ditch that I dug just to make sure it was funneling water the direction that we needed to go and not across the driveway. So I'll meet you down there. Well, I went to check on Jennifer's house, which I will show you later on. They're really moving on with the drywall, but my main concern down here was all the rain that we've had recently. Were they going to be able to get in to be able to work? Because this field, when it rains quite a bit, it can fill up to be, I've seen it about 100 feet wide, standing maybe about 8 to 12 inches deep with water. So it's a really low-lying area right here, and the area that we have out there in the middle, like I've said before, it's got a belly in it, and it will stay swampy out there for, you know, you could have 4 weeks of sunshine, it still wouldn't be dry. But yeah, there's lots of water flowing, and we're expecting more rain, so I'm just hoping that we don't get too much more where the creek actually gets the water gets up out of the bank. Anyway, I'm going to run down over here and take a look at the ditch to see how well it did. Well, it looks like the ditch did its job, because I can see sediment that had been pushed over there to the right hand side, so that's good. I also carved just a really small ditch right here, because a lot of times when it rains so hard, you've got water running down the ditch, but you've also got it kind of flowing down the driveway as well if it's hard enough. And I figured that some might come down through here. Now that's kind of angled that way, so I knew it wouldn't cross right there. So I kind of scratched in a little ditch right here where it would run off over into the one that I dug, and it looks like it was used pretty well. However, I also know that some of the rain also came down through here, and you can see where it started running off right there. And that's the problem that happened on the other side that I wasn't aware of or just overlooked it a couple of years ago. It was beginning to undermine the other side of that tile, so that's the reason I'm really trying to pay attention to it. This is the day before all the high winds are supposed to be here, after about 3 solid days of rain this week. And the concern that I have is the trees uprooting because the ground is so saturated. What I did was I pulled some of these plastic pallets from behind me. I tried to cover up the things that we saved from Jennifer's trash that they were going to throw away. and I've been placing it on top of here because we're supposed to get winds somewhere between 35 and 45 miles an hour. So I wanted to cover that up so that it doesn't get soaked, because we've also got big rains coming. I'm going to go down here to Jennifer's and see if I can cover some things up. Let me show you what's happened. So what we've got is water running right down through this, what I call a dry creek bed, because it only runs when it rains. That used to be a spring up in there years ago, but it dried up. And so this is what's happening down here at her place. So at least it's not running into her foundation, but it is very nasty down here. I think what I'm going to do is come right down in here and see if I can kind of cut a ditch to go over there in that direction. I've got to cover up this metal or it may fly away. Then my other concern is all of this stuff that they have dumped on the front porch, which I would have never done if this would have been my job. I would have at least put it out there. I know why they did it, to keep it from getting rained on, but it could have been covered up, because now this is going to be very dangerous with high winds. I tell you what, friends, I just don't have enough to do. I have lots of responsibilities here, trying to watch after everybody. So here's another thing. All of this metal right here, I'm going to have to do something with it too, because it will fly around. We're going to have small pieces of metal everywhere. So I don't know if I'll get it all done today. It's supposed to start really raining hard tomorrow. The winds tomorrow will be gusts anywhere from I think it was 25 to 35, but then Sunday, with more rain, it increases from 35 to 45. So I'm going to do the best that I can, and that's all I can do, because I'm only one person. So anyway, let me get busy here, and then I'll, try to do a little bit of video as I go. I know that this is strange, but I have to do what I have to do for the video, because I just don't have any more time in a day. I've got to go back up and get the shovel, but what I did is I pulled what pallets we had left out, covering that up, hoping that that will be sufficient. I also covered up all of that metal because I don't have time to do anything else with it. And then I laid some plywood on that, hoping that, it doesn't get blown away and that metal right there take off and fly around somewhere either. Friends, I thought it would take just a minute and show you where they've got with Jennifer's house. This is one bedroom. This is the hallway going into the other room. I can't show you the bathroom because it's too dark. This is one of the other bedrooms right here. This is where her kitchen is. And then this is her main room. Here's another view of it from the other side. This, of course, is her bedroom. And again, it's too dark to go in the bathroom there to see anything. And that, of course, is the hallway leading into the house from the garage. And then this is a view of the garage itself. And I think that's about as far as they got. It took them a week to do this much. Friends, thanks so much for stopping by. We certainly do appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.